The trade deadline is tomorrow at 4 p.m., and thus up until then, there'll be tons of news, reports, and waves circling around the entire NFL world, seeing which team is going to be willing to trade how much for a certain player, what team is going to be certain buyers. It's going to be an interesting situation as the trade deadline is tomorrow at 4. And when it comes to our Pittsburgh Steelers, there's one main position in particular they need to trade for. It's something they've tried for so long. We are literally in a year and a half of this. And here we are again, a second straight year where the Steelers at the trade deadline, and they, I do believe, will trade for a wide receiver. The magnitude and who that will be, hopefully, is a lot better than last year where we were so desperate we settled for Mike Williams.
Yeah, trading away a fifth rounder, to which, I mean, the Jets basically stole that fifth round pick, and we didn't use Mike Williams, and now he's retired. Happily, I hope.
So hopefully this time around, we can actually get someone that's going to be here for longer than half the season. And I think for the Steelers, they have to make a move. We already know the certain names that could be available that they have made calls for. There are reports that they have made calls, that they have looked for certain receivers. We will discuss that today in this video. Could there be other positions that they look for? They already traded for Kyle Duggar on Thursday. They made calls regarding wide receiver. Could they look for a corner? Because we all know Darius Slay is old. He's no play Slay at this point. He's always hurt every game. And frankly, at this point, I wouldn't mind seeing James Pierre over Darius Slay.
Oh, it's gone to that point, huh?
As a matter of fact, I'd much rather put Brandon Echols in Darius Slay's spot and promote Beanie Bishop and keep Jalen Ramsey at safety. But that's just me. I doubt they do it. Maybe they shop a guy like Darius Slay. I don't know. I don't think the Steelers will be shopping anybody around, but if there's someone they should, it should be Slay. Can they get something out of him? I don't know. I doubt it. They traded a 6 for Kyle Duggar. Maybe somebody's so desperate enough to trade a 6 for Slay. Either way, I don't know if they're going to be shopping anybody, but I know damn well the Steelers will be calling for a wide receiver because that's the main position they have to trade for. Let's start with the obvious. Jakobi Meyers. He's going to get traded. There's no way he doesn't. I know the Raiders' asking price is pretty heavy. They want a day 2 pick, but there's no way that Jakobi Meyers does not leave Las Vegas on Tuesday. There's no way that he doesn't get traded. I just have a feeling that he, out of everybody, is going to be the number one name to look out for when it comes to this trade deadline in regards to any team, in regards to any player that is up for grabs, right? Jakobi Meyers is fielding a lot of interest for so many teams. That is indeed the Steelers. The Steelers have called the Raiders regarding Jakobi Meyers. Obviously, the Bills have called them too. They need a receiver. The Buccaneers are another team that needs a receiver because they've been dealing with injuries everywhere at that position. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the Giants. They could be another team looking to trade for a receiver. Jakobi Meyers is going to be fielding tons of offers, tons of trade calls. So, yeah, I do believe Jakobi Meyers will be traded. It's just a matter of where, and there's going to be a ton of teams fighting for Jakobi Meyers' services. Keep in mind, he is, I think, 28 years old, going to be 29 shortly. He is in the last year of his contract he signed with the Raiders, but Jakobi Meyers has made it very well known going back to the summer he wants out.
No, and he made it well apparent that, like, yeah, he's still up to being traded, but, you know, like, whatever business goes down is whatever at this point. Like, if he stays with the Raiders, I mean, the guy's always been a team player. He's always been a team sport.
In fact, a couple weeks ago, he made this comment. In regards to him being asked about being traded or still wanting to be traded, he said, and I quote, "No control over that. If I'm here, I'm here. If I'm not, I'm not. Wherever I'm at, I'm trying to get healthy and play good football." And when asked if he still feels the same way at the beginning of the season, if he wants traded, he said, "Oh, for sure. But I'm a professional. At the end of the day, I'm trying to play good football." That's just a professional he is. He wants out. He wants traded. Who doesn't want out of Las Vegas right now? In fact, if y'all saw the end of that game versus the Jags, they went for it on 2. Geno missed him wide open in the middle of the end zone on the slant route. That would have won them the game.
Yep.
And Geno threw to the most covered guy on the field. There's nothing good in Las Vegas right now.
Nope.
The quarterback sucks. Pete Carroll's not changing anything. The only good in that organization is Brock Bowers and eventually Ashton Genty. But that's about it. Jakobi Meyers wants out. If he's not going to be traded, he's going to be the utmost professional about it. But clearly he wants out. There's going to be so many teams interested. Myers is going to be fielding tons of offers. Apparently the Raiders want a day 2 pick out of him. I don't think the Raiders get a day 2 pick out of him because here's for context. The Steelers traded George Pickens away for a third-round pick. We all know the player Pickens is. We all knew the talent that he had. There's a certain reason the Steelers traded him. It was all because of attitude and effort. If the Steelers can get a third out of George Pickens, what makes the Raiders think they're going to get a third from Meyers? No disrespect to Meyers. He's just not on the level of a Pickens. Pickens can be a one on any single team. Meyers is a predominant, typical, bona fide number 2 anywhere around the league. He's a very good one. He is the prototypical number 2 for the NFL these days. He's very reliable. He is a strong possession receiver. He's got strong hands. He's someone you trust with the ball. He's someone that you give him targets. He's someone you can rely on at that number 2 position. I don't think the Raiders are going to get a third for him. Now, could there be a team desperate enough to trade for like say a third-round pick for him? I do think that could be the case. That could be the Bucs. That could be the Bills. Like if there is a playoff team that wants to improve the roster, they might be desperate enough to cough up said day 2 pick.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the Raiders are going to get it. The only team I can think that's going to be desperate enough to do it will be the Bills. Could the Steelers do it? Maybe, because they're going to have 3 third-round picks. They're going to have the third-round pick for the Dan Moore comp that they're going to get because he's on that big contract with Tennessee. They have the third-round pick they got for George Pickens and their own. So they could sacrifice the third-round pick if they really want Meyers. If they really want to trade and get Meyers, if they want to get aggressive, they can, because they have extra picks to do it. I honestly think a 4th would do it, though. I think they could trade a 4th, and I think you pay Meyers what he wants. You keep him and DK together. I mean, I think a trade for Meyers would be good because he would lock down that number 2 position for the long run. And that's the point of trading for a receiver at this stage. You don't trade for a Mike Williams 2.0 this year. You trade for someone that's going to be a long-term solution.
Yeah. Meyers is very capable, and he's one of the more talked about wide receivers when it comes to the trade deadline. I mean, no secret about it. If you want somebody to lock down the number 2 position, that's Meyers.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. He's got the size. He's a heavily targeted wide receiver, consistent hands, hardly drops the football, to which if you saw that Colts game, there were a couple drops by some of our targets, including Metcalf. Something that I thought we were done with, but apparently is still a bit of a constant issue on the offense. Meyers would take that away because his hands are very consistent. When the ball is thrown towards him and he's targeted, he comes down with the football and he keeps a hold of it. He's got big, strong hands. Guy can hold on to the ball.
In fact, statistically, he only has 1 drop all season.
Well, there you go. I mean, if you want somebody to help with the drop issues, Meyers is your guy. And teams like the Buccaneers and teams like the Bills, those are 2 playoff teams that are going to be vying for a Super Bowl. The Steelers are going to be in that same category, and the Raiders are going to want a day 2 pick. Do they get it? I mean, 9 times out of 10, when a team wants this or that, they don't usually get it. And sometimes they're going to have to settle for less. Now, the Raiders could very well just keep their stance and be like, no, like we want a day 2 pick, say a 3rd-round pick. And if you don't get it, then he's not going.
Yeah.
Simple as that. We're going to keep him the rest of the way, and then we're just going to conduct business. Meyers seems to be okay with whatever, but if the Steelers really want to add another wide receiver too and vie for a championship, like that's their mission this year, they may have to cough it up, considering that they will have projectedly 3 third-round picks.
Yes, and
giving one away doesn't seem that bad, considering the player that Meyers is, to hold down that position.
Yeah, but I'm going to stay firm in my opinion. I think a 4th-round pick would do it. I think a 4th would do it. Meyers doesn't want to be there. Give him to a playoff contending team like the Bills or like the Steelers or even the Bucs, and give him a chance to win. You know, he's not about the stats. He's not about himself. He's not a selfish player. He's all about winning. And right now in Vegas, he's not winning. He's not. He wants to win. So do right by someone that's been professional. He wants out. He doesn't want to play for you no more, but he's being the utmost professional. At least do the right thing and give him away to somebody, even if you got to settle for less. I think that's what the Raiders should do. There's no way that they're going to keep him after the season. They're not going to pay him extra money because he wants a new contract too. But there's been no talks or no progression on a new contract. The Raiders aren't keeping him regardless. So at this point, settle what you got, settle what you're going to get out of him, and trade away Meyers. And to me, the Steelers would be a good fit. Him right beside DK, I think he would solve the wide receiver 2 solutions. You put Calvin as the 3 or as the rotational guy. And honestly, I don't know if Calvin returns next year anyway. I think he's going to command a decent market for several teams. I love Calvin. I just don't know if he's going to retain as a Steeler next season since he's in a contract year.
Right.
So at least if you don't get Calvin back, you know you're going to have Meyers that you could resign. So I think that's another reason the Steelers could be aggressive in trying to get a guy like Jakobi Meyers.
Well, I mean, they have throughout this whole ordeal. I mean, like they're one of the teams that are constantly involved with the Jakobi Meyers rumors, but one of the teams that has been reported that is constantly calling the Raiders about it.
Yeah.
Like they want this guy. They are heavily interested in this guy. They know what he's about. If they can snag Meyers away from a fourth, I mean, that's better value. That's just better for them. You give up a fourth, an early day 3 pick, the Raiders just may have to deal with it. But again, if they stand firm and the Steelers continue to show interest, I'm not opposed. This is just me personally. I'm not opposed to giving up that third, considering what we're projected to have for next year's draft.
Sure.
But I don't know if Omar Khan is going to want to give up such capital like that because draft's in Pittsburgh and he's going to want as much capital as possible to build a team.
Sure. I mean, you also got to look at it this way. Omar Khan's been a little more aggressive than usual. He has. So it could be an instance where he finally bites the bullet. And considering he has a team like the Bills rivaling for Meyers' services for trading for Meyers, he just might have to do it. So I don't know. I don't know if Meyers is going to be a Steeler, but it's either going to be a Bill or a Steeler if he does get traded. But I do have a great feeling Meyers will get traded, and those are the 2 top spots for him. Those are the 2 top teams that are in contention for Meyers. And yes, according to a report from Diana Ruzzini of The Athletic, Steelers have called about Meyers, and so have the Bills. So I would anticipate a lot of that to really, gain a lot more steam to really
get the gears rolling.
Pretty
really.
much, yes. I would think that it's going to be a legitimate bidding war for Meyers services. Otherwise, yeah, they're not only looking at Meyers, they're not putting all their eggs in the Meyers basket like they did with Ayuk just last offseason. There's going to be other players that they're going to be looking at. Another one is Calvin Ridley. And yes, the Titans are going to attempt to trade Calvin Ridley, who is going to be 31 years old next month and is still owed about half of his $23 million salary in 2025. And that contract he got from the Titans just wasn't really all that deserving. Obviously, he got suspended for the whole gambling thing a couple years back, and he just hasn't been the same player. In fact, a lot of his issues now, outside of him being on the wrong side of 30 in his contract, is there's drop issues and there's lack of effort. Do we really want that in Calvin Ridley? I don't think Ridley would be the long-term solution. He's on the wrong side of 30. So I'm sure the Steelers would probably be fielding offers or the Titans will be fielding offers for Ridley, and the Steelers might be one of those teams calling. But I just don't know if that's the legitimate fix. It might be cheaper to get him, but again, the way I see it, if the Steelers are going to trade for a receiver, you gotta find someone that's going to be here at least the next 3 years. That's how I see it. I don't think Ridley's going to be that. According to Ian Rappaport, Ridley has drawn interest from multiple teams that need a receiver and believes a motivated playoff contender could pull off a deal for the veteran. That could be the Steelers. That could be the Bucs. That could be the Giants. They're not a playoff team, but that could be the Giants for a guy like Dart. That could be the Bills. Does Ridley even get traded? I don't know. All I know is I'm out on Ridley.
No, I got zero interest in Calvin Ridley. If this was maybe 4 years ago, maybe it'd be different. It'd be a different story because Ridley was one of the better receivers and he was a great talent coming out of college. But nowadays, it's just he's just not reliable. Not even for Cam Ward.
No,
Cam Ward's having a very rough rookie season, and Calvin Ridley's efforts in his play as his number 1 target, it's not helping.
Yes,
and you want to bring that trouble to the wide receiver 2 position for the Steelers. I'm out on that.
And this report comes from Tony Polian of Sportskeeda. Now, keep in mind, he had a report last offseason of the Steelers fielding trade offers for Deontay Johnson. That was obviously true because they traded Deontay Johnson to the Panthers, and he's been a journeyman ever since. So to give Tony Polian credit, this might have some fire to his smoke, that this might have a little life to it. He didn't only mention Calvin Ridley. He also mentioned my personal dream, my personal fantasy, my hope at the end of the day. Jaylen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins. Yes, please. I'm not going to get my hopes up on Waddle, but that is my ultimate dream that the Steelers would trade for Waddle. However, that's going to cost a pretty penny. Or could it? Because the Dolphins are in shambles right now. It seems like a lot of the organization is going to crap. They just fired Chris Greer, their GM, for so long, the guy that drafted Waddle and Tua and so many other pieces of their team. They just fired him. Their interim GM, Champ Kelly, could very well field offers. They could at least listen to Jaylen Waddle phone calls.
Well, that's what Schefter reported Saturday night. He said on Twitter, Dolphins are willing to listen to offers on any of their players ahead of Tuesday's NFL trade deadline. But it is, in the words of one well-placed source, very high and highly unlikely that Miami will trade wide receiver Jaylen Waddle. He also mentioned this morning, Sunday morning, that the Dolphins would be expected to ask for, in the words of a source, a first plus in any potential trade for Jaylen Waddle, meaning they believe they would have to receive a first-round pick plus other compensation for Waddle, and the trade for Waddle is still considered highly unlikely.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going to put all of my hopes and dreams in Waddle. I'm not going to get my hopes up that the Steelers are going to get Jaylen Waddle. I'm sure they're going to listen to offers for Waddle, but I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to cough up that much. Frankly, I don't know if the Dolphins ever get that much for Waddle. Thus, Waddle might be stuck in Miami. The thing with Miami is they view Waddle and Achane as their two main cornerstones of that offense, two building blocks for that offense, right? I don't see them getting rid of them. I don't. I would love it. I think that would be a home run move by the Steelers, but they're in no position to trade a first or more for a guy like Jaylen Waddle. They're in no position because they still have a quarterback situation to worry about this upcoming draft class or the draft class after that, depending whenever they want to draft a quarterback. They're not in a position right now to trade a first. So I don't think they will trade for Waddle, but I would love it. Maybe because Champ Kelly, the interim GM, is now the interim guy, he might field offers. Because Chris Greer is gone and out of there, perhaps the Dolphins are a little more open to trading Waddle. That's a slight possibility, probably not very realistic. But outside of Myers, I think Waddle would be a home run move. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, no doubt it'd be a home run move for the Steelers to get a guy like Waddle, who would turn 27 at the end of November this month. Still very young, very reliable, very credible, very speedy, very consistent at that. He had, to start off his career, 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons up until his 4th year where it was riddled with injuries. But Waddle, he's constantly on the football field. He brings availability and reliability as an offensive playmaker and as a wide receiver. I mean, a duo of DK and Waddle is literally what Madden is for, right?
Yeah.
But it's not out the realm of possibility, but just like Schefter said, it's highly unlikely. I just can't see Khan, of all people, trading so much for a guy like Jaylen Waddle, considering that they're still trying to invest in the quarterback position.
Right. Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. But if you look at it from a Dolphins aspect, they just fired their GM, Chris Greer, so they have Champ Kelly interim now. I'm sure Mike McDaniel isn't going to be a head coach for much longer after the season, if he makes it that far. They're 2-7 right now after losing to the Ravens on Thursday night, a lopsided affair. I don't know what the future holds for Miami. They clearly viewed Jaylen Waddle as a building block, as a future piece. But considering all the wrong in Miami right now, when are they going to see some bright? When are they going to actually see some sunshine? Even though their residence is in Miami, there's no sunshine down there for them right now. So when is that going to come? Thus, could they just scrap everything, get as much as they could, and just start from the bottom up? They already know Tyreek's gone. His contract's going to be cut. He ain't going to be a Dolphin after this season. We don't know when Tyreek's going to be back. So all we know is he's not going to return as a Dolphin. I doubt they trade Achane. I know there were trade talks for him weeks ago that were never really legitimized. Same thing right here with Waddle, but he's kind of being a hot name. And I know the Giants were linked to Waddle weeks ago. Again, I don't know how much of that was actually legit, but Waddle's been talked about in terms of trade talks. So I'm going to mention his name. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but that is my ultimate fantasy for the Steelers, is that they do make a move for Waddle. I don't believe it's going to happen. It's just me dreaming, right, as a Steelers fan. So I think that the best case we have out of everybody available, Myers, Ridley, Waddle, I know there were talks of Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed of the Saints weeks ago. I don't know if there's still more light to that. It doesn't seem like Chris Olave is going to leave New Orleans because there's been talks of them trying to get a contract done. Shaheed, he might get traded as well. He might not. I don't know what's up in New Orleans now that they're starting Tyler Shook. I don't know if they really want to trade any targets away from the rookie quarterback. So you look at all the options. Frankly, Jakobi Meyers makes the most sense, and that's probably the best move they could make, and that's where they should be the most aggressive realistically. Because Ridley, with his age and his contract and his issues, I'm out on him. Waddle's just too unrealistic. The Saints, I don't know if they're going to trade their receivers with a young quarterback. And obviously, Meyers wants out. Meyers has wanted out, and the Steelers have always been linked to him ever since that report came out earlier this summer. So Waddle makes the most sense. But there's going to be a huge bidding war. There's going to be an absolute bidding war for Jakobi Meyers. It's just a matter of how aggressive are the Steelers going to get. They are going on a year and a half of these trade talks for a wide receiver. They did it with DK. They're paying him big bucks. He had a good 4-game stretch of touchdowns, and against the Colts, he had 2 catches, 6 yards. Not exactly the production you want to see from a $33 million man.
No, and only 4 targets at that.
Yeah. Not what you want to see from what you traded and paid him for. So I feel like they're desperately wanting to fix the wide receiver issues, because that's not going to Roman no more, because he doesn't see a lot of snaps. And when he actually got the ball versus the Colts, he fumbled.
After a stupid hurdle attempt.
Which means he's going to be in the doghouse. He's not going to see snaps for the next 4 weeks at least. So they need a wide receiver. And I like Calvin. I just don't think he's a true 2. They need a true 2. So Steelers got to get aggressive here. You know, we always ask the Steelers and Khan, get aggressive, grow out your bubble. And Khan has in some instances. He's been a little more aggressive recently than when he first started, right? So perhaps this is the time where he's like, enough is enough. We've been looking at all these wide receivers. It's time to slap the table and just go get this guy. Does that mean they raise the price? Does that mean that they just send more than what they're willing to just to fix the issue, just to get this guy? Potentially. Considering he's going to be 29 in a week, he's going to get a new contract, and he's still a very, very reliable receiver. I think it'd be worth it for Meyers. That's the guy they should get. They might be in talks for other positions, like corner or whatever, but they need a wide receiver mostly. That's why this sign is up. They need to trade for a wide receiver. And I'm hoping they don't settle for less. I don't want Alan Lazard. I don't want Calvin Ridley. I don't want what other name you might throw at me. I want Jakobi Meyers.
No, I don't want MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling signed to the practice squad, whatever that situation is. That's just settling for the bare minimum. At that point, you might as well just throw it deep to Scotty Miller when he's healthy. Like, settling for those guys is literally just being like, hey, you know, like, we made a move, we got a wide receiver, but it's like, it's nothing. It's literally Mike Williams 2.0. And I know with those guys, if you settle for guys like that, you're not going to play them. At that point, you continue to give Roman Wilson the opportunity. And I want to see Roman Wilson given the opportunity. But even then, you still need to trade for another wide receiver. You still need to bolster the wide receiver room. You'll still need a credible and a true wide receiver 2 to be paired with DK Metcalf. We have documented this for a year and a half since the whole Brandon Ayuk situation, and they fumbled at the 1-yard line. They got to finalize this. They have to figure this out. Hopefully they do it by Tuesday, by 4 o'clock. If they don't, we're just going to have to play the waiting game once again.
I don't want to do that, bro. It's time to plug the hole. Steelers Nation, I think we are done with these wide receiver rumors, these wide receiver talks. Go get your guy. Okay? We are on too long for this. I hate that. Anytime someone requests a trade, or anytime someone's cut, or anytime someone's a free agent, the first thing at the wide receiver position that people think of is future Steeler. It's the Squidward meme. Steeler. I'm tired of that. Go get your guy. Go get Meyers. If you want to get more aggressive and go get someone bigger, by all means. Either way, fix the wide receiver issue. Give A-Rod another target. Help out DK. Help out this offense. If they're literally all in, although I can't buy into it, I never did, but from the Steelers' mindset, from what they're doing, if they're literally all in, go get your receiver. Be more aggressive than the other teams, man. Seriously,
I mean, like, as if the moves and the guys that they brought in the offseason wasn't enough. I mean, like, if you really want to show the NFL world what you're about and how aggressive you are, and show them like, hey, we all want to go all in. This is our mission. This is what we want to do, and we're not messing around. You go and make a trade for a guy like Jakobi Meyers, and Meyers is very credible, very reliable. But like I've said throughout this whole wide receiver ordeal, when we brought up constant names, I could go down the list, but we'd be here all damn day. I'll believe it when I see it. And if it happens, it happens. I just hope that it's not for a low-level, low-bar style wide receiver. No, we can't do that.
If you're going to trade for a receiver, trade for somebody that's going to be a long-term solution. And I do think that could be Meyers. Pair him with DK. I think you're looking good. Then you got DK, you got Meyers, or whoever you trade for. That's going to be a legitimate move. And then you got Calvin, you got Scotty, you got Skoranek, you got Roman. That's a decent wide receiver room that I can live with. A trade for a receiver of some decent magnitude, makes that offense just a little more better. And that's what we need to do. We got to give A-Rod another target. We need another reliable receiver to help out DK. God forbid, knock on wood, DK goes down. Who's your number one? I love Calvin. He's barely a 2. You expect him to be the 1? Now, I love that we're getting the tight ends involved. All the tight ends versus the Colts had over 3 catches for 20-something yards, which is good. Get them involved, by all means. Darnell, get them involved more. Jonnu, Muth, get them involved more. But you still need that extra receiver. So go get your guy. Whether that's Meyers, I don't know if Olave's still within talks, but if you want to get Olave, he's the route technician you need that's going to create separation. His only concern is, yes, his concussions. But he's had a really good season. I know the Saints have had talks with him about a contract, so I don't know if they really move on from him, especially with Shook at quarterback now. But if there's a legitimate chance to go get that kind of guy with that kind of speed and that Buckeye background, you know what he can bring to the table, go get him too. But I feel like the most realistic option is Meyers. So at the end of the day, Steelers Nation, we will see what they do. We'll see how busy they are. I hope that they do make a move. I'm hoping that with all the news and the speculation and the reports that we've seen for a while now, but especially as it amplifies during the deadline, I'm hoping that this all leads to the Steelers actually making a move for a wide receiver, and one that's going to be a fix. That's all I hope for. I'd hate for the deadline to come and the Steelers to do nothing. They're going to shop. They're going to be calling. They're going to be active. But will they actually pull the trigger and make a move? I hope so. If not, then that's just kind of disappointing, isn't it?
So it would be. It would be. I mean, the Steelers know, like, the clock's winding down. I mean, like, tick-tock, bro. Like, again, you want it, go get it. Get your guy. Grab your guy. Trade for your guy. Acquire your guy.
We will see if they acquire said guy come the trade deadline. That is Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The trade could happen on Monday. It'll most likely happen on Tuesday. Either way, go get your guy. Could they trade for other positions? Potentially. If you guys got any other positions you think they should trade for, any other players that are being talked about, let us know down in the comments. But based off the Sun and the Steelers' biggest need, trade for a wide receiver. Go get your guy. Be aggressive. Go get your fix. That's all I want to see in the next 2 days. I would be a little happier as a Steelers fan knowing that they went and tried to fix the issue, and they did fix the issue. That's the main objective now. Right before the Chargers game, that's the main objective, is go get your next wide receiver. With that being said, let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. Any other potential wide receivers you guys think the Steelers should be calling about? Any other positions? Any other players you think the Steelers should be looking for? Feel free to let us know down in the chat. Love to hear you guys' interactions and your opinions. The trade deadline is Tuesday, 4 p.m. There's going to be tons of reports. There's going to be tons of speculation. It's going to be crazy around the NFL world. So it'll be interesting to see what happens all around X or Instagram or wherever you guys get your latest news.
Social media is going to be popping as the deadline comes for sure.
Yes, it will.
And you know us Steelers Nation, especially with the wide receiver position, we're just going to be constantly refreshing, constantly scrolling on any updates, any news, anything Steelers related. And I think just anything with the word Steelers in it, we're just going to be like, we're going to stop scrolling and look at it closely like, what the heck is this?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be nerve-wracking.
And believe me, we're going to overanalyze the ever-living crap out of it, even if it's just Steelers interested or Steelers linked to said and said.
And you know there's going to be some cryptic posts
Yes.
from players on the deadline, especially players that are connected to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy time, man. It's going to be a very crazy time. Beware of the scam and the fake posts, but it's going to be a crazy time, and I'm absolutely here for it. I just hope by the end of it, we will actually have a solution to the problem.
But listen, throughout this whole ordeal, I'm not going to get my hopes up. If it happens, it happens. So, Steeler Nation, don't get your hopes up. Just be prepared. Be well prepped. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, it's for a wide receiver.
Absolutely.
And a good one.
And it's just a matter of they have to do it. At the end of the day, they just have to do it. Let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. See you in the next one. And hopefully next time we see you, we will actually be trading for a wide receiver. Fingers crossed. See you in the next one. Here we go, Steelers.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!